For almost 3 years, the residents of Flint, Michigan have endured a nightmare after their water supply became contaminated due to the actions of city and state officials. But now they are nearing a resolution with a $97 million proposed settlement between those officials and a coalition of religious, civil, and environmental rights activists who sued them. You recall in April 2014, in a cost-saving measure, Flint temporarily switched its water supply from Lake Huron to the Flint River that failed to treat the river water with an anti-corrosive agent as required by federal law. As a result, lead from aging pipes began leaching into the water supply and into the homes of Flint residents. Within months, Flint residents began noticing discolored tap water, and within a year, the city was under a state of emergency with children testing positive for high lead levels. Also, a number of women suffered miscarriages as a result of the contaminated water. In this nearly $100 million settlement, Michigan and the city of Flint have agreed to spend $87 million to replace lead and galvanized steel water lines in 18,000 homes. $10 million will be set aside for unexpected costs. The state will continue operating water distribution centers until demand drops and will provide free water testing for the next 4 years. Folks, think about that. Residents in Flint will have to wait 3 years in order for these changes to be made. The settlement will be presented today to a federal judge in Detroit for approval. Joining us from Detroit, Michigan, columnist Rochelle Riley of the Detroit Free Press to explain. We did try to get a number of people involved in this lawsuit, but because it is pending and the judge has not ruled, they do not want to comment until today's court action. Rochelle, it is stunning to think that we are in the United States and literally American residents have been waiting 3 years as a result of this contaminated water. And here, this thing still won't be completed for another 3 years.
Roland, the greater tragedy is they've been waiting longer than that because there were complaints about other things in the water besides lead even before that. And the cost, even though this money on federal and state funds will finally start to replace the pipes that people have still been using despite these years of complaints, the cost of making sure that these children are okay, who are already suffering from developmental and other health issues, will go into the billions. But this is a step, but this is not something to applaud the state for. This only happened because of the lawsuit.
And yeah, they had their hand forced. And of course, we saw the forcing of the hand here in the nation's capital, trying to get Congress to also act. It is still, again, when you think about life there, residents still having to use bottled water, having to cook with it, having to bathe with it. I mean, this is their life every single day. And also because of the use of Perel and other items, now that's led to bacterial infections because there's a thing called good bacteria and bad bacteria.
Unfortunately, what you've got is a situation where imagine that you're bathing your children in this water and then cleaning them a second time with all types of things that are also chemical, and then you wind up with children who not only are not getting the amount of water that they should in the first place, but they're also being treated with chemicals that they would not be using at the level they are before that. And again, you're still talking about there being just a monumental amount of work to go on. I mean, Leanne Walters, who you've spoken with before and who has been at the forefront of this, has talked about the problems with her children for years. She was on CNN just earlier this year talking about the developmental issues that they have. Her 5-year-old boys don't talk like other boys. They can't remember their colors and their ABCs. They have hand-eye coordination issues. And she says this is all because of the situation with the water.
All right, there, Rochelle Riley. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Joining us today, our panel, Raynell Jackson, GOP strategist, John Burnett, author, professor, and political analyst. Also, Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, leadership strategist and author of How Exceptional Black Women Lead. Dr. Wilma Leon III, Sirius XM radio host, author of Politics, Another Perspective. Folks, again, it is just still stunning to think Flint is still having to deal with this problem. This is an American city.
Yeah, I don't know why the federal government won't just bring the Army Corps of Engineers, have them do a 24-hour shift to get this thing. There's no reason for this to last 6 years plus. Get the Army Corps of Engineers in there, do the pipes 24 hours, 7 days a week, get the stuff finished.
Yeah, but you also have folks who are afraid to check Governor Rick Snyder, and even his own party won't do so. I mean, it was Rick Snyder who put the emergency manager in. It was Rick Snyder who oversaw that. When you hear the buck stops here, this governor has not accepted the responsibility, and the residents have had to fight the state in order to even get this settlement.
Unfortunately, many people made it about politics, not about life. And, I just really wonder if that amount of money is enough. No. And then secondly, what hasn't been reported enough is that many of those residents have been boiling water for the last 3 years. And that intensifies the lead and makes it more dangerous.
Oh, wow.
It's just, it is a tragedy of epic proportions. And I don't even know what I would call it a tragedy, because the tragedy is something that happens that you had no control over. This was a man-made tragedy. And there is no excuse for there not to be the political will to do what you just described, Raynard. That could happen. But when you have instead a political will, particularly in Washington, that has no problem with budgeting perhaps billions of dollars for a wall, but sit here and are okay with the fact that you have American citizens who have been suffering for years with unsafe water and will still suffer for years more before anything substantive happens to change, that is a huge problem.
And Wilma, the bottom line is here for the kids there. These folks, they will be tested for the rest of their lives, and their bloodlines will now be impacted. Their children's children could be impacted by this, by the lead in this water.
This is going to become a generational issue of epic proportions. Why did a settlement have to take place? That's something that I don't understand. This is not an issue that should have had to go through the court system. This is something, to your point, that just should have been done because the water wasn't contaminated. Decisions were made, and people have been poisoned.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And also, this will be minimal on the scale, but even fluoride. When we check these children's teeth going forward, because they're drinking bottled water, not municipal water, there's no fluoride being provided in the water that they're going to be drinking. Their teeth are going to rot out.
Well, we certainly will wait to see what the judge decides today. The hearing today at 1:30 p.m. there in Flint. A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not gonna let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.